In the stillness of eternity, the voice of the divine calls to every soul. Chosen one. People are currently staring at their phones with trembling hands while they watch their meticulously crafted web of falsehoods about you come apart in real time. They are under unbearable stress. They're evading inquiries about how they treated you while being caught up in sacrifices that were meant to kill you, but instead served as offerings to elevate you. Because each response reveals a new dimension of their well-planned plot that the universe has been meticulously recording, using their own weapons against them and transforming you into the unstoppable force they never anticipated. They thought everything was under control only a few months ago, because they thought they could control the story around your name. The gossip queen in your circles had managed to establish themselves as the ultimate information broker. They had what they believed to be an extraordinary talent for fusing outright lies with half-truths, crafting tales about you that were so gripping that even those who ought to have known better found themselves nodding along to their toxic symphonies. Through every link that was significant to your quest, their network spread out like tentacles. You presented carefully edited versions of your own inner self to your friends, prospective business partners, romantic prospects, and spiritual communities. During their campaign against you, they were unaware that the cosmos had been preparing for this very moment of your arrival. Every falsehood they spread about your personality carried the seed for its own demise. Cosmic energy was just diverted towards stronger partnerships that would benefit you more from each connection they attempted to cut off from your existence. By carefully sorting the wheat from the chaff, each reputation assassination they tried on you just helped to refine your true circle. The very force of their resistance to you was sending a message to the universe that something incredibly important was manifesting itself through you. During what should have been their final victory over you, you most likely felt the first crack appear. They had been effective in creating an environment where someone close to you started to doubt your intentions, your moral character, and your basic character. There were phone calls regarding you. Meetings were scheduled to talk about you, and hushed exchanges created inaccurate impressions of you. Something they hadn't accounted for was in the possession of the person they were attempting to turn against you. Sincere spiritual awareness of your actual nature. Their system of lying about you started to function like a virus thanks to that discernment. Late-night discussions that ought to have reinforced their toxic story about you instead brought up awkward questions, information about you that didn't fit right, and feelings about you that didn't feel natural but rather forced. It became increasingly clear that this individual was being influenced by someone whose goal had nothing to do with the truth or keeping you safe. The more they looked into the stories they were being told about you. However, the gossip queen had made too much money trying to ruin you to turn back. Stepping back would have required them to face the emptiness of their own existence, because their identity had gotten so entwined with their role as your opposition. They therefore intensified their efforts and enlisted more participants in their scheme to deceive you. Family, when you plant a seed, you set a harvest in motion. If this message lifts your faith, would you tap the super thanks below and give $20, $50, or more as God leads? Your gift helps us reach more people with hope every week. Scripture says, "Whoever sows generously will also reap generously." 2 Corinthians 9 verse 6. Let's give with expectation, not pressure, cheerfully, not fearfully. I'm believing with you for open doors, fresh strength, and God's provision in every area. If today isn't your moment to give, we love you just the same. But if it is, plant your seed through super thanks, and let's believe for a harvest. You provided thorough explanations of your danger to family members who had never met you. Childhood friends were triggered with urgent alerts regarding your harmful impact. They received unsolicited advice about avoiding your toxic energy, even from casual acquaintances. Every time someone tried to hire you, they left digital traces. Cloud storage contains text communications about you, chains of emails that could be used to track you down, social media exchanges that showed their campaign against you was timed with precision. While they thought they were hiding their tracks, They were actually constructing the very body of evidence that would eventually reveal the full extent of their operations against you. With the patience of an immortal accountant, the world appeared to be gathering receipts in anticipation of the time when you will require this paperwork. Your own voyage, however, proceeded with a nearly magical vigor that ought to have alerted them to the soldiers guarding you. Unexpected support was given to projects that should have encountered difficulties. After being attacked, relationships became more genuine and resilient. They turned opportunities they had attempted to undermine for you into even more beneficial avenues. Every intentional act of damage against you was turned into rocket fuel for your ascent, as though the cosmic powers were utilizing your opposition as fuel to accelerate you. When their own networks started to receive what could only be described as supernatural feedback about how they were treating you, you saw the tipping point. People they hadn't spoken to in years began calling the Karmic mother figure, who had played a key role in spreading false information about your character. They were all questioning you awkwardly about the stories they had told about you. Dreams concerning you became so clear and consistent that the male energy that had allowed themselves to be influenced into turning against you was unable to ignore their message. Under pressure they couldn't see, but could clearly feel. The foundation stones of their operation against you began to crumble one by one. But an unexpected source dealt their campaign against you the most devastating blow. The very nature of technology appeared to be against them and in your advantage. Unintentionally, private talks about you that ought to have stayed confidential were given to the incorrect numbers. In some way, social media posts about you that were meant for consumption by your close circle wound up reaching a wider audience. Cloud storage systems that should have been protected started to malfunction, allowing others who shouldn't have been able to see their plans to obtain private information about their plot against you. During what should have been ordinary encounters, you most likely noticed when their meticulously preserved poise started to falter. When your name was mentioned in conversation, many around you began to notice how your voice changed. The dubious timing of their cautions regarding you. The fact that they appeared to possess personal information about circumstances involving you that they shouldn't have. Minds that had previously accepted their stories about you without question started to have doubts. Panic spread throughout their network as these inquiries over how they treated you grew in number. As their targets begin to seek independence from their emotional terrorism and start thinking about you on their own, the Karmic mother, who had been so sure of their capacity to manipulate and dominate masculine energy, through guilt began to lose influence. The men who had been persuaded to behave despite their gut feelings about you began to feel deeply betrayed, not at you, but at themselves for letting manipulation overcome their instincts about your actual nature. You observed how their group of friends and supporters went through its own kind of disintegration as the fictitious ties formed by their joint involvement in character assassination against you were unable to withstand actual pressure. They found that partnerships based on reciprocal engagement and harmful behavior against you provided no true support or loyalty when the crisis arose over how they treated you. Yellow heart if you're moved by divine love. Now is the moment to share it. Click the Super Thanks button on YouTube and contribute $50 or more to help us broadcast God's blessings far and wide. Every act of generosity you make is being watched in heaven and will return to you 100-fold. Former conspirators started blaming one another in an effort to downplay their own role in the campaign against you by emphasizing how much more responsible their other conspirators were. What began as their assurance that they could shape the story of your life turned into frantic efforts to keep their tactics from becoming increasingly exposed against you. The coordinated attack methods against you that had previously dominated group talks were replaced by increasingly frantic debates about damage control. Previously character assassination calls about you were now about legal issues and the possible repercussions of their documented harassing campaign. You're seeing the exquisite accuracy of cosmic justice manifest itself in the particular ways that their own weapons worked against them instead of against you. Evidence of their plan against you spread like wildfire through the very networks of gossip they had established to propagate false information about you. All of a sudden, the monitoring techniques they had employed to keep tabs on your activities were backfiring, revealing their own covert meetings and private contacts regarding you. Former allies who were sick of being dominated were using the psychological manipulation techniques they had perfected to turn people against them. When the pendulum swung back in your favor, the very visibility they had weaponized against you became a spotlight that highlighted every aspect of their dishonest operations, since they had been so successful in creating controversy and attention about you. Those who would have been impartial onlookers were compelled to look into the matter more and eventually learned that the attacks on your character were well planned. When someone in their inner circle reached a breaking point with regard to how they treated you, you experienced a climax. This person made a choice that would expose years of meticulously crafted lies about you in a matter of hours, whether driven by conscience, fear, or basic self-preservation. The extent of their campaign against you, as well as the degree of organization, preparation, and malevolent purpose that had motivated their attempts to ruin your career and reputation, were made clear by a single recorded and shared discussion. They were unable to control the speed at which the recording of their plot against you disseminated through networks. All of the words, all of the implications, and all of the revelations in that terrible audio evidence of their organized harassment of you were suddenly being examined by voices they believed they could trust. The gossip queen's meticulously preserved persona, as a worried friend watching out for others, well-being vanished when their actual intentions and strategies toward you were revealed in their own words. When the Karmic Mother's deceptive methods and domineering actions toward anyone who stood by you were exposed, their facade of defending family interests fell apart. You witnessed the immediate and severe psychological effects on their conspiracy network when the truth about their well-planned campaign against you came to light. Months of upholding intricate lies about you caused stress that finally erupted into panic attacks, sleeplessness, and paranoid conduct. Some started going through what could only be called a spiritual crisis, a profound understanding that they had allied themselves with forces that were essentially hostile to love, truth, and real development, all in an effort to undermine you. You saw the gossip queen descend into what many close to them called a total breakdown of their mental state. The persona they had constructed around being the supreme master of information and story manipulation about you turned out to be nothing more than the house of cards constructed on quicksand. Former allies rushed to disassociate themselves from the mounting scandal surrounding their treatment of you, and calls to their inner circle remained unanswered. As they came to terms with the fact that their digital footprints had turned into proof of systematic harassment and slander targeted especially at you, the social media accounts that had served as their main tools of influence against you mysteriously stopped responding. Every time they attacked you, you had to fortify your spiritual defenses. Your truth became more apparent with each falsehood they disseminated about you. On the other hand, all of the ties they attempted to cut off from your life were replaced by ones that were much more in line with your true purpose and cosmic destiny. They've manipulated the masculine energy to temporarily turn against you, and now you're witnessing what can only be called a spiritual awakening. The haze that had been artificially produced by ongoing psychological pressure concerning you began to clear, exposing not only the reality of their plan, but also a greater awareness of their own vulnerability to manipulation when evaluating your character. Their approach to relationships, decision-making, and personal sovereignty in all facets of their lives underwent a significant change as a result of this realization. You're witnessing the Karmic Mother, who had established herself as the supreme authority on moral guidance and family protection, suffer the repercussions of employing emotional terrorism as a means of control, particularly with regard to those who wish to assist or establish a connection with you. Family members who have endured years of their deceptive practices now have a foundation for comprehending what happened to them. As people start the healing process together and exchange stories of similar manipulation, support groups naturally emerge. As its victims get the courage and voice to think for themselves about you and your actual nature, their system of dominance, which was based on guilt and fear, disintegrates. You watch as the group of pals who took part in the anti-you rumors come to terms with themselves. Some decide to remain isolated and follow the route of denial. Others start the challenging task of analyzing their own reasons and actions in relation to how they treat you. Some people have the guts to express their sincere regrets and ask for your pardon. However, they learn that true atonement necessitates much more than just words. It calls for significant behavioral and character adjustments that many people are unable or unwilling to accomplish. As this remarkable chapter comes to an end, you see how cosmic justice is unquestionably circular and in your favor. Dove brothers and sisters, everything done in faith multiplies in God's abundance. Use the Super Thanks feature to donate $100 today and join this sacred mission. When your roots are grounded in Him, your fruit will flourish, and your offering becomes a seed that bears blessed harvests. They had attempted to utilize those very forces against you. Their own demise was brought about by social isolation, character assassination, manipulation, and gossip. Their own dishonesty was revealed through the networks they had established to harm your reputation. The psychological strategies they had perfected to turn others against you came back to haunt them with compound interest, making them susceptible to the very methods they had used against you with such ruthless accuracy. What at first seemed to be an assault on your identity and mission turned out to be a rigorous training regimen created especially for you by the universe. Every obstacle they put you through made you sharpen your judgment. You learned to have greater faith in your instincts with each treachery they planned. Every period of seclusion they tried to force upon you prepared you for the degree of autonomy necessary to carry out your cosmic mission without requiring approval or assistance from those who aren't spiritually mature enough to see your true potential. Now you realize there's more to the tension your old adversary is under than just punishment. It symbolizes the pressure needed to break through hearts that have hardened to the truth, to shatter egos that have gotten too big, to allow for true progress, and to establish the conditions needed for actual change in the way they view you and people like you. Even though their campaign against you caused their current pain, it also holds the seeds of possible salvation, if they have the guts to decide to be vulnerable rather than keep lying. With growing desperation, they now flee from the inquiries. Eventually, you'll need answers to questions concerning their basic nature, how they attack you, and why they are assaulting you. The cosmos itself demands truth as the basis for all enduring creativity, not because you need their approval or affirmation. They avoid the very remedy that could release them by avoiding these inquiries regarding how they treated you. You understand that the sacrifices they made in their unrelenting quest to bring you down turned out to be offerings to the very cosmic powers they were unable to understand. Every dollar you spend on readings that are meant to ruin your life, each hour spent fabricating falsehoods about your personality. They destroyed every relationship they had in order to fulfill their fixation on stopping you. These were offerings to the universe's most intricate manifestation of divine protection acting on your behalf, not calculated investments. If the repercussions weren't so dire for them, you might almost laugh at how their stress is destroying their sanity. They now live with sleep deprivation all the time, not due to outside influences, but rather because their conscience has changed into an incessant internal prosecutor, reminding them of what they did to you all the time. They get obsessed with constantly monitoring social media accounts, looking for indications that their well-crafted facades may be crumbling in public, particularly in relation to their previous treatment of you. You see that they are unable to handle the exponential growth in the number of queries they flee from. Friends who used to accept their stories about you without inquiry now bring out discrepancies in their accounts. Family members who were enlisted in their anti-you campaign start asking for clarifications on statements that don't match their own assessments of your personality. As word of their deceptive actions toward you circulates through networks they were unaware of, professional acquaintances begin to distance themselves. You see the most worst side of their current situation, how their own ability to target you turned into the means by which they were destroyed. The drama they created around your name was so successful that when the pendulum swung back, The attention they had built up about you turned into a magnifying glass that was focused on their own behavior. The visibility that they had used as a weapon against you became a spotlight that shone on every aspect of their shady operations. They needed to coordinate and maintain the web of lies they created about your character constantly, and it has now gotten too big for them to handle. Every fabrication led to other falsehoods to back it up, forming a web of deceit so intricate that they are unable to recall which version of events they told to whom. Their capacity to perform basic everyday tasks has started to be impacted by the cognitive strain of upholding these numerous false narratives about their lives. As the entire extent of the digital evidence from their campaign becomes indisputable, their stress levels have risen to unhealthy levels. Screenshots of their messages that the receivers had preserved, recordings of their alleged secret discussions about their schemes to harm your image, chains of emails that demonstrate how well-planned their attacks were, systems that store all of your deleted messages, modified posts, and carefully scheduled publications in order to ruin your path at key points. Their psychological underpinnings have been weakened by the strain of upholding fake identities while also getting ready for possible exposure, which shows up as increasingly unpredictable conduct. Former allies tell of conversations in which they contradict themselves about their interactions with your circle within minutes, of sudden and drastic changes in their emotional state, and of their inability to focus on their own lives and responsibilities due to their obsession with tracking your activities. Their increasing realization of the supernatural aspects of this cosmic drama only serves to worsen their predicament. Malfunctions in technology that appear to be purposely designed to reveal their secrets. Occurrences that seem practically impossible to plan in order to maximize their discomfort and safeguard your interests. Occurrences that go beyond the realm of statistical probability and suggest that God is intervening on your behalf. This reversal's cosmic accuracy goes beyond poetic justice to illustrate universal principles that control the energetic results of persistent malevolent intent against selected individuals. Every ounce of energy they expended trying to dampen your light has come back concentrated and enlarged into shapes they never would have imagined. With the accuracy of a cosmic mathematician and the patience of an everlasting accountant, the cosmos has been accruing interest on their energetic obligations, all the while making sure you stay elevated and protected, because the source of their stress goes with them in the form of a conscience and energetic imprint. Their attempts to escape the rising pressure through relocation, employment changes, or drastic lifestyle modifications are ineffective. Internalizing wrongdoing cannot be alleviated by distance. The digital evidence of their conspiracy cannot be erased by new settings. They cannot be shielded by various social circles from the inevitable effects that appear in every aspect of life. A last layer of stress that drives many people over the edge is the realization that their intricate campaign was ultimately nothing more than exquisite self-destruction. All of their preparation, coordination, and manipulation merely helped to hasten their own demise, while also giving you protection and influence beyond their wildest dreams. The fact that they can't just apologize their way out of repercussions is what makes their situation so painful. Intentions and deeds cause energetic ripples that must be balanced regardless of later regret, and the harm goes well beyond injured sentiments into the world of spiritual law. As they realize that true redemption necessitates total character change and the destruction of the very identity structures that have defined them for years, their stress levels rise. Glowing star yearning to witness God's miracles firsthand? Plant your spiritual seed now by contributing $100 or more through the YouTube Super Thanks button. Your offering lights the path for others and echoes through His divine plan, bringing His light into every step you take. The questions they flee have become an unavoidable chorus that haunts their increasingly infrequent moments of sleep and follows them around all day. When it came to your achievement, why did they prefer destruction than creation? What anxieties made them perceive your promotion as a sign of their failure? How did they get the ability to run persistent operations aimed at emotionally and socially destroying someone whose only transgression was owning items they admired? Even they are unable to negotiate the intricacy of this web of falsehoods without contradicting themselves, because it has grown so twisted. Former allies describe discussions in which they accuse co-conspirators, who have proof of their deeper involvement in character assassination efforts, deny documented activities, and claim ignorance of events they helped plan. Observe how their stress shows out in more obvious ways that reveal the inner turmoil they are trying so hard to conceal. Shaking physically when compelled to talk about previous deeds. Voice alterations that take place when they try to refute recorded proof of their role in disseminating untrue information about your objectives and character. Premature aging that appears to be accelerated every week due to their guilt. The seclusion you selected during your time of spiritual growth is qualitatively different from the isolation they currently experience. Their realization that every relationship they had was based on reciprocal engagement in harmful behavior rather than sincere love or respect causes them to feel lonely. Your intentional times of isolation helped you deepen your relationship with the divine source and get ready for the increased influence that is currently rushing through your life at a never-before-seen pace. This last discovery utterly shatters a lot of them, because opposing someone selected by cosmic forces is a type of energetic suicide that ensures the annihilation of the opposition rather than the target. Their effort was always bound to fail. They battled against universal will itself, believing that their fleeting capacity to wreak havoc was equivalent to real control over results that were predetermined by God and included your fate. Your character was never truly the focus of their campaign. It was about their realizing that your presence is a symbol of everything they are incapable of becoming. Their fabricated structures were in danger from your genuine might. Their spiritual impoverishment was revealed by your sincere spiritual connection. Their need to control and plot for scraps of what naturally flows to chosen ones was underlined by your ability to effortlessly attract opportunities and relationships. Now watch as they rush to salvage their reputations from their own ashes. Watch them try to change history by saying they were defending people, even though it is obvious from the facts that they were shielding their own fears from your light. Watch their desperate attempts to pass off their organized harassment as concern when the evidence shows it was done with the intent to keep you from opportunities and relationships that were meant for you. The universe has bestowed upon you the most remarkable manifestation of divine protection in history. They saved every text message they sent that plotted to thwart your progress. Every phone conversation in which they planned assaults was somehow recorded. Cosmic forces saw every meeting where they plotted your demise, guaranteeing that evidence would emerge at the ideal time to safeguard your goal. They can no longer avoid the questions that they now flee from. Formerly believing their stories, family members now seek explanations for known lies. Friends who took part in campaigns are now subject to repercussions for harassment. As the reality about their concerted deception comes to light, professional connections who once believed their stories now turn away. As they comprehend the complete extent of supernatural assistance that shielded your voyage during their assault, their stress has escalated to abnormal proportions. The world itself worked in concert to bring them down while ensuring your ascent. The cosmic powers that uplift and safeguard chosen ones received every sacrifice they made in opposition to your objective. The truth comes out of this cosmic play as a conqueror who was fortified by opposition, not as a victim who survived attacks. The universe tempered your spirit by using their malice as a forge. Their lies serve as a counterpoint to your truth. As a prelude to the independence needed to complete your cosmic mission, they employ isolation methods. Every second of their campaign was also laying the groundwork for your extraordinary ascent to genuine power and influence. Confirmations of opportunities they never would have thought of make your phone ring. They made connections they could never have made and opened doors since overcoming their crucible made you stronger than you were before. As the proof of their scheme grows beyond their control, their inquiries about your character keep reverberating across their fractured networks. The universe created their opposition to prepare you for this remarkable chapter, and it's here. A chapter in which their vulnerability becomes your defense, their stress becomes your strength, and their total collapse serves as the cornerstone for your greatest ascent to date.